From Studio B in Riverside, Illinois, it's RBTV's The Late Hour with Vejas Cuplinskas. Today's guests are Nicholas Kirby, Todd Friedrich, Dan Bonarigo, Mary Mortensen, and Grant Winkler.
Hello and welcome to The Late Hour. I'm your host, Vejas Cuplinskas. First up, we have Todd Friedrich. So how are you doing today, Mr. Friedrich?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you here. So let's jump right into it. You're a coach for water polo, is that right?
That is correct.
So could you tell me a little bit about how you coach and your tactics and your drills and practices?
Well, tactics and drills and skills, they're kind of all basically skills that all coaches tend to use. Basically, we pound on their legs a little bit, swim them, condition them, work on shooting and passing and set drills for game type strategies. And then we try to motivate them a little bit more so that they are successful and feeling confident when they hit the water and compete against other teams. So that's kind of our game plan in a nutshell. So as far as practices go.
Have there been any recent achievements, or have any teams gone up, or?
I felt like we had a really successful year 2 years ago, and then we graduated a bunch of seniors, and then so we played last year a bunch of underclassmen, and we got a lot of playing experience for a lot of our kids, and they progressed very nicely. So our aspirations are a little loftier this year. We won't know until we hit the pool exactly where we stand, but we lost one senior, and we were able to get a lot of our athletes a lot of playing experience last year.
Do you think that those freshmen and the newcomers will be as good as the previous seniors?
The seniors a couple years ago? I hope so. I think we'll be deeper. I think that definitely will transpire. We'll have more depth. And then, obviously, I think that they'll have a lot more experience than the seniors did. So we had some seniors that played really well their senior year, but didn't necessarily get the same type of playing experience that these kids that are going to be juniors and seniors have had. So hopefully that progresses and kind of curtails into a successful season.
And you also teach Challenge Ed. Could you tell me a little bit about what Challenge Ed is?
Challenge Ed is an interesting course. It's a little bit off the cusp as far as your regular physical education courses, because we go off into different tangents that appeal to kids that don't want to be in a team sport type class where they're doing the traditional basketball, volleyball, football, things along those lines. So Challenge Ed is a class we usually start off with team building, and that kind of builds a trust with some of the kids for some of the things we're going to do later on. And then we curtail off into a little survival, orienteering. We're on the rock wall. We kayak in the pool. We do a small bags unit where we do cornhole and little bags. But it seems to be a pretty successful class. The enrollment continues to go up, and it seems to be some intrigue in it. So we do a couple field trips usually annually. We do one where we do the orienteering course, Waterfall Glen, which is always a hit. And then last year we instituted a ski trip. So obviously it's all contingent on a little snow. But if we have snow, then we make the trek up to Wilmot Mountain for a day, and the kids seem to enjoy it. So.
Have there ever been any injuries?
Yeah, there were a lot of there were some minor injuries last year. The one cool thing about the process is the kids included in the fee do get a lesson, but it's only an hour. So after that hour, they're kind of sent on their merry way to kind of figure things out. And some figure it out, and some don't. So we had some crashes last year, and one little shoulder injury. Girl basically finished off her day after her little injury. She did not continue to go, but wasn't a long-term injury. She was able to go about her regular life after the trip, but she did not want to ski anymore. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. The kids had a great time. They, especially the kids who have a little bit of experience, really enjoyed it. And there was nobody on the mountain, so the day we went, there was nobody there, which even made it better. So you don't have to worry about the kids running into other people, just their own peers.
But you also teach safety, like lifeguarding, and
I do. I teach lifeguarding. Been a lifeguarding instructor for over 20 years, and I enjoy that course. I'm basically a minion of the Red Cross, so I teach their class. But yeah, we turn out about 100 lifeguards annually, so it's it's pretty good, and we help contribute with the neighboring pools. We were able to provide them lifeguards from the class, and it's really kind of a nice setup. You're not going to find a better price, I don't think, than what you get here. And as I said, kids enjoy it. Enrollment's been good, so hopefully things continue to.
And do you also teach just normal swimming classes, or is it?
No, this semester I have a team sports class. So I had 2 challenge, I had 2 lifeguarding and a team sports.
What kind of team sports?
Team sports, we did football, soccer, floor hockey, and volleyball. And
you know a lot of sports.
Yeah, so I had a lot of good kids in that class. It was first hour, so it wasn't a lot of mischief due to the fact that they probably weren't awake yet. So it was nice to have them first hour as opposed to letting them wake up and drink their coffee or get a meal in them where they're a little rambunctious and a little harder to control. So it was a nice class.
Yeah. Have you taught at any different schools other than RB?
I have. I was at Homewood Fossmore prior to coming here, and then my first teaching job was at Proviso West High School, so I did that for a year. I enjoyed my experience at both schools, and they both had their pluses and minuses, but they helped contribute to my teaching career and some of the ways I do things now, and I'm happy for those experiences.
And now you've taught at RB for 15 years.
Correct. Yeah, this is my 15th year.
15th year.
So 20th year of teaching.
Are you just a PE teacher or like water polo coach, PE teacher?
Yeah.
Are there
so
any classes you teach or?
Nope, PE.
No, just PE.
Just PE, and then coach water polo, and then I coached swimming at the IHSA level for 20 years, and I've been coaching swimming in general for 25 years. So
25 years.
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah. So it's been a long time.
Hey, well, I like athletics, so
there you go. That's
you're
good.
my kind of teacher.
Right on. Yes.
Yeah. Well, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Dan Bonarigo, a math teacher and a volleyball coach at RB, after these messages. Hello and welcome back to the Late Hour. I'm your host, Vejas Cuplinskas, and now we are joined by Dan Bonarigo, a math teacher and a coach at RB. So people tell me that you like teaching AP classes and you enjoy it. Could you tell me a little bit about the math world?
I do enjoy teaching AP. So I teach AP Calculus AB and AP Computer Science Principles. This is my 3rd year teaching computer science and my 8th year, I believe, teaching AP Calculus, and I also taught AP Stats a while back. So I was given the opportunity to teach AP Stats, and I didn't really, know what AP was all about or how difficult that was to teach. But I wanted the challenge, and so I did it, and I really enjoyed teaching it because it gives you a kind of a unique opportunity to challenge students beyond what they're used to.
Are there any challenges as an AP or just a math teacher that because that for me, that's kind of the hardest subject, math. Is there any obstacles you have to surpass to help students?
Yeah, I think it's actually interesting because it can be very challenging, and so then students, if it's too challenging, they don't want to do it right away, so they want to drop. So the challenge is to actually kind of keep them interested long enough so when it does get really challenging, then they'll stay with it. So years ago, we had a lot of students who wanted to drop right away, first week of class. And so we really had to fight to kind of make the start of the year a little bit more doable so that students wanted to stick it out.
And you also teach volleyball at RB. And what levels do you teach at?
So I'm the head boys varsity coach and the head girls varsity coach.
So you're at the top.
So I started out as the freshman boys coach my first year here 15 years ago. And then I was the varsity boys assistant for 3 years. I was the varsity girls assistant for 3 years. And then and now I've been the head girls coach for 10 years. And this spring will be my 11th year as the head boys coach.
And do you play volleyball yourself? Or?
When I can. I don't have a lot of free time, but I do enjoy playing still. I play a lot in the summer on the beach. Occasionally indoor. Sometimes I'll play in practice, depending on if we have injuries and there's not enough kids to practice. So.
Did you play in high school or college? Or
I did play in high school, and I played club volleyball at Michigan State in college.
That's nice. Do you also like to run and work out daily, weekly? And
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to say I work out 7 days a week, but that's not always true. I play basketball a few mornings a week at school here with a bunch of other teachers, and then I'll run maybe a couple days a week, or do a cardio or a weightlifting workout.
And you like traveling, so have there ever been any highlights in traveling that you've gone around the world?
I mean, I've done a lot of traveling in the United States, a lot of driving around or flying around to different cities and things over the years, but last summer I was fortunate enough to go to Ecuador and stay in a lodge in the jungle for a week.
Oh, wow.
Which was very interesting. And then I also I traveled to Alaska on a camping trip a number of years back. And then we flew there, but then we kind of drove around and camped in different locations. And then I spent a few days in Japan, I don't know, probably 15 years ago.
15.
And just got to tour the city and, see some of the architecture and, just nothing really special, but, just got to kind of see the city. Yeah. Yeah.
And now you have a family, 4 kids, right? And do you still travel with them anywhere?
Yeah. We're actually going to Tennessee and Kentucky this week for Christmas. And
any family there? Or?
We're meeting family there. Nobody
family.
lives in Tennessee, but and then we'll do a trip to Florida, every other year. We go to Michigan a lot in the summer. So yeah, we like to travel a lot.
And back to school now. Back from the world, back to school. Have there ever been any things that students have said to you that are memorable?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of times, I have a lot of, real high achieving, smart students in class. And sometimes, even the smartest students will say something, silly or, and then they kind of regret it,
Do you have any
So I'll see if I can think of it, but from time to time, I'll do like a quote board. So, we'll wait for somebody to say something that's embarrassing or whatever, and then we'll write it up on the board so that everybody, can enjoy it. So one time we had a student who looked at a desk and, somebody had a cord plugged into their phone, and it was plugged into a charger, and it was clearly, you could see the wire, connecting the charger to the phone. And then he goes, "Hey, is that one of those wireless chargers?" And we were like, "What are you talking about?" So we actually took a picture of that and then put that on the wall next to his quote so that people could see how,
How intellectual.
Yes. And this was a very, bright student, but so that's, it's fun, makes it a little bit more enjoyable to be in class.
And you have a picture outside of your room of you with a straw hat. Is there a story behind that?
That is a picture that somebody made for me. There's a project that we do at the end of the year, and a good number of the projects over the years have included my face. And so that was one of those. And it's just, another way that I welcome people to my classroom.
Yeah.
I tell people my classroom is the most welcoming room in the building.
Because of that picture?
Well,
outside, or?
And among other things.
And what kind of project is that with the face? Is it
it's actually kind of it's a 3D art project that
3D?
That involves calculus. So it's kind of it would take me quite a while to explain it to you. But basically, they cut out cardboard and they glue cardboard together to make a three-dimensional object.
Oh, I've seen this before. My sister did it once.
Yep.
Yeah,
and a lot of them have incorporated me into their
They've made a
project.
3D head of you? Or?
No, it's some object, and then like my face is just in the, So like, I think that picture of me with the straw hat, they made like a corn cob or something, three-dimensional, and then they put my picture with the hat. I was like the farmer.
So you're like a
something.
farmer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be joined back after this break with Mary Mortensen. Hello and welcome back to the late hour. Now we are joined by Miss Mortensen, and you're a social worker at RB, so you do some counseling, is that right?
That's
so
correct.
Could you tell me a little bit about your job?
Sure. So social workers are different than counselors. counselors work with students around academic issues and scheduling and credit checks. Social workers are there to help students with anything personal or peer related that might get in the way of them being able to do their best in school.
So like bullying. And
Yeah.
So, okay. And so you do counsel, right?
Correct.
So you also set up people's schedules, or is that what counselors do?
No, social workers.
Social workers.
It's different. So social workers are there. Many times students will just walk in and say that they need to talk to a social worker about something. And
So like a
usually it's
therapist,
something,
kind of. Yeah.
So usually it can be something that we can resolve in just one or two meetings, or it could be something really serious. So today in student services, we had several students come down who were very, very anxious about their finals, and they really need to talk to somebody. And actually one student who was in much more serious trouble, and so we had to call the parent to come and take them. Yeah. So sometimes it can be pretty serious, the things that kids are dealing with.
So your job basically is just to help students and to get them back into
Yes.
school
Yes.
in a healthy environment.
Absolutely.
Make the healthy environment.
Yes, absolutely.
So you also so that leads into Best Buddies. You also run Best Buddies, which is, could you explain a little
Yeah,
bit?
of course, yeah. So that's one of the really fun parts about my day. And we started Best Buddies here about 12 years ago. And Best Buddies is an international organization that helps bridge relationships with people who have intellectual disabilities and people who do not. So at the high school level, that means creating an environment where regular ed students are encouraged to pair up with students in special education, and they get to know them beyond the disability. And when it works great. And really great friendships are formed, and really we've seen lives really change because of those friendships. So that's a really fun part of my job.
Do you also run the Special Olympics, or
No, that's
someone else's job?
that's somebody else.
But
Yeah.
that's still Best Buddies, or
Well, it's because
No.
it's kids in special education. So kids with disabilities do both usually.
but they're in a partnership, right? Or kind of a little bit.
It's only because it's the same students, but often the same students are usually in Best Buddies and Special Olympics. Yeah, good question though.
Thank you. So, what was your training to become a social worker
Okay.
in college? Or-
I did a program in college. I majored in social work, and then I had to go to a graduate program at University of Illinois.
Is that what
graduate
you
degree?
did? You decide you want to do that in high school or sometime in college?
Probably high school.
High school? Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
I still don't know what I want to do.
That's okay. Yeah,
But you also like to take trips out of work,
do.
and
I do.
so could you tell me about any trips
Yeah.
you've gone on recently?
Sure.
Or
I did
any
an amazing
highlights.
train trip across Canada
Train trip
this
across
summer,
Canada?
all the way across. 5 days sleeping on a train.
Oh wow.
It was fantastic.
Did they let
So-
you get off?
Yeah, we got off some, but literally the room was about as big as your desk.
My
I mean, it was
desk.
super
How
small.
do you fit in the room?
It was super tiny, but it was so fun. Of course, there's 2 languages spoken in Canada, depending where you're at. So
French
you
and
pop
English,
off the
right?
train and be
So
spoken to.
you
in-
speak French too, right?
No, not
No.
enough.
So did you ever go past Quebec or something? And
Yeah, we did, but it was fun, and a lot of people speak English anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
but
was
so
great.
you got off the train and
Got on in Montreal, and then we
Montreal.
went west and ended up in Vancouver with lots of stops.
How long are the breaks in between train rides?
Well, we would also sometimes even stay a couple days.
Stay a couple
at a place to
days?
really get to know a
Wow,
city.
this
Yeah.
is-
It was a 2-week. Yeah,
2 weeks.
2-week train
Oh
trip.
wow!
Yeah, it was
I normally
fantastic.
just go for like a few days.
So eating on the train is really fun.
Like,
Fancy
yeah.
and
I envision like Harry Potter, like the train they have to Hogwarts and all that. Like
yeah.
that, it seems fun.
It was fantastic.
Was it like old fashioned or was it like?
And no, it was a modern train, but just meeting lots of people and talking to Canadians was really interesting.
Oh,
It was
they're really nice.
fun. They're really polite.
Yeah. No, my family's from Canada. We go there
Oh,
once in a
fantastic.
while. We're gonna go there this Christmas and whole family reunion. And
Canucks, man,
Toronto.
they're the best.
Yeah, we might even take that tour.
Oh, it's spectacular. Yeah.
We should. I should recommend it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So, in Best Buddies, is there any challenges with it, or is it
Yeah, there are challenges
what kind of
because
challenges?
people with disabilities are not used to having relationships, a lot of relationships outside their family. And sometimes they really struggle with social skills or behaviors or limitations. And so the students who come, the regular education students who come, there's a period of time where they really have to learn about that, right? And they have to learn sometimes how to communicate in ways that are clear to the special education students. Many of these families have never, the student with a disability has never gone to a movie, never gone in the car of someone who's not in their family.
Oh, wow.
So you might have a buddy and say, hey, let's go out somewhere. And this would be a very big deal to the parents because they were doing an activity with someone outside the family. And so it's going to be a whole new world for students with disabilities. But once that friendship is formed, it can just be fantastic.
They're just friends.
Yeah, they're just friends,
Just
and the
normal.
disability doesn't matter anymore.
Well, that's really nice. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course, thanks very much. Thanks.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be joined after these messages with Grant Winkler, a student at RB. Hello and welcome back to the Late Hour. I'm your host, Vejas Cuplinskas, and we are now joined by a average guest, Grant Winkler, a student at RB. So could you tell me about sports?
Well, I am a student and I am a little above average here. So what I play is I'm a football player here at RB. Currently I just finished my sophomore season here, and I play center and right guard.
Oh, could you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I have no idea anything about football. I only play volleyball.
So the center is a person that snaps the ball to the quarterback. It's a very important role. You are really in charge of your line when you're there. And as a right guard, your job is to block and create a pocket for the quarterback. So as you're blocking, you are just fighting to protect your quarterback, really. And those are both offensive line positions.
Have you ever gotten any injuries from that, or concussions possibly?
So I wouldn't say while playing in a game I've gotten an injury, but during one of the practices we were doing a drill.
Practices.
Yes, during a practice I was injured. One of the bigger boys on our team went up against me, and he didn't understand how much he weighed, and he flew forward and he hit his helmet right into my knee.
Oh.
Which made me hyperextend my knee.
It went backwards, like.
Yes, that's not a pretty picture.
That's not a pretty picture.
Not at all.
So, you also play baseball, is that correct? That is correct.
I don't play here at RB.
You don't? You play like a club?
No,
or?
I play for a Brookfield team called Western Conference.
So,
and it's another club outside of the school. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you play in? What position do you play?
I am mainly a catcher, but I also play first base.
Oh, I used to play first base in Little
Really?
League. Oh yeah,
Oh,
star of the team, MVP.
Was your dad the coach?
No. But other than sports, back to school, you also you but you participate in RBTV.
Oh yeah, actually, I am one of the directors of this very show.
That is correct. You're
Yeah,
my
no.
boss.
But besides the show, I work a lot on our little projects that we get during the class.
Have you ever completed all of them?
During the time frame that he gives us, I find it a little hard to complete all the assignments.
I agree.
But I feel like a majority of them have been completed and above satisfaction.
But they're all still fun, right?
Oh yeah, they're all fun.
Like this is fun. This is our final.
Oh yeah,
this is
an amazing experience. It's being here talking with you.
Yeah. So could you tell me about your little job for this show?
So like I said, I'm a director. So what I do is I'm usually in the booth and telling all the camera people their shots, and like I'm communicating with the floor director at all times, so that I know what they're up to and how the show looks, and I'm just overviewing every shot at once.
Have there ever been any technical difficulties during a show, or?
Usually my crew is really good with what they do, but just like for instance, if I raise my voice like I just did, they gather these things called distortions. And when audio is distorted, it cannot be undone in post-edit. So when a guest or a host raises their voice to a certain level,
when we start, we can't go like.
I would not do that.
We have to start low and calm, and then
as they get higher and louder, it really just creates a lot of trouble there. So that's audio that we lost and that you can't really get back.
Could you tell me about school and finals that are right now? How do you feel about finals?
So being a sophomore, I feel like there's two parts of a sophomore year. You have your easy half of the year and you have your hard half. And I think I'm just finishing up with my easy half of the year. So having finals, my schedule has been really easy, and the way that my schedule is balanced, I find I really like how my schedules are formed. I've been able to complete all mine on time so far, which is good. So
that's good.
Yeah.
What about freshman year? Was it a shock?
So my freshman year, I think I really struggled in school. And I didn't really understand the importance of it. I didn't understand what it really meant to push yourself. And I think going into sophomore year and playing football this year, because I didn't last year, I think that really showed me the importance of my grades. And
so you underestimated it.
Oh yeah.
You definitely.
Because I had played other sports and I'd been pulled from them and they meant nothing to me. But I really had a connection when it came to football. And it really made me want to better myself.
Is there any advice to incoming freshmen that you would like to tell them about finals or just school in general?
For freshmen that are incoming, I'd really think the best thing to say is listen to your older students, because that's something I did not do.
You just want respect. You just...
No. It's not that I just want respect. It's a lot of good advice was given to me by seniors and juniors my freshman year. But I did not take any of it, and it did not turn out well.
What do they tell you?
They told me a lot of stuff about my assignments and due dates that, like, I've never been one to turn stuff in really on time. So working towards that, it's just been difficult for me.
So it's a very different experience than middle school.
Oh yeah, middle school was fun, and if I could give any advice to middle schoolers is you could fail your classes and still go to high school, because they will not hold you back.
That's true.
I don't know why I tried so hard in middle school when I just need to. It is irrelevant now in life.
Yeah, no, but has there ever been any difficult? Have you ever underestimated something so much that you just?
Oh yeah, so in one of my classes, RBTV. That's one of my classes here. I underestimated the time it would take to shoot a 15-shot movie.
Yes.
And shockingly, you were my partner on this.
Yeah.
And in the time that we had gotten our shots had looked really good, we never really had the time to edit them and finish our last few shots that we need to get in this building.
So 0 out of 100, right?
0 out of 100. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, Grant.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Well, that's good that you like being on the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Nicholas Kirby after these messages. Hello and welcome back to the Late Hour. I'm your host, Vejas Cuplinskas, and today we are now being joined by Mr. Kirby, a varsity wrestling coach. So
Yes,
could you tell me about wrestling?
Just
Boom.
give you the broad, it's, to me, it's the ultimate one-on-one sport. You got one guy going against the other, and, you score points by taking the guy down or escaping from control or reversing positions. The ultimate goal is to pin the guy's shoulders to the mat, and, when that happens, the match is over. It's actually the oldest sport in the world. It's one of the first sports that were ever competed back at the old Olympics, the first Olympics ever. So, it's got a lot of history with it, and being such an old sport, it's nice being able to continue it now in the modern age.
So you also played in high school, or?
I wrestled in high school, and I wrestled in college at Illinois, and. As I was going through college, I was finishing up. I knew I wanted to go into teaching and coaching. So pretty much when I graduated college, I went right into my first teaching and coaching experience. And 15 years later, here I am.
So this is a very a sport where you have to have a good relationship with the players. So you have to work with each individual player by themselves, and
there's things that we do all together as a team, but each guy kind of develops kind of their style a little bit. So there's things that as a team we work on so that we're good in different positions, but then you kind of give each wrestler the freedom to be able to kind of find their style, and then I think a good coach helps each wrestler within their style develop what they're good at, and that's what I try to do as a coach, is find what each kid is good at and help them in that way.
And you're also an athletic trainer, right? No? Yeah.
No.
No. You're a math teacher.
Math teacher?
Math teacher.
I'm an assistant athletic director in the spring.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm involved in sports quite a bit. I coached football for 14 years before this, so sports has been a big part of my life. But teaching math is also a big part. So I've been teaching math for 15 years. So here I'm teaching algebra. So kind of different than what Mr. Bonarigo was talking about. Not the AP kids. I'm working with the algebra kids.
Hey, everything's important.
Yeah, exactly. So just getting them a good base of being in high school and what to expect and how to build their math skills, and a little bit different with encouraging kids to stay. I'm more so encouraging kids that or trying to show them that they can be good at math. A lot of kids come in saying, "Oh, I'm no good at math," and then they kind of shut down. So doing things to kind of build their math skills to show them that they can do it.
Did you ever teach at any other schools apart from RB?
Yeah. So my first 5 years I was at Providence Catholic. Taught geometry there, and coached football and wrestling. And after that, I went to Plainfield East. I had the opportunity to become the head coach for wrestling there. So I taught there for 8 years, also coaching football and wrestling. And then 2 springs ago, I had the opportunity to come over here, and in my second year here at RB, and it's been a great choice for me to make the move over here. Great academics and great athletics, so I've been enjoying my time here. And
then on my note card it says something about a Dave Matthews Band. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
That band is something that if I ask a kid if they like Dave Matthews Band, they've never heard of them. But my wife and I, we started going to concerts when we first started dating, and we try to get to as many concerts as we can, and I just like their music, and it's been something that they've been around since I was a freshman or sophomore in high school, so I've been listening to them for a long time, and it's just something that I enjoy when I'm outside of work and during the summer and in our free time.
And then segue back to wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Have there ever been any injuries that you have yourself?
Myself?
Gotten? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've banged up every joint there is, but actually the last match I ever wrestled when I was a senior in college, I tore my ACL.
Oh, wow.
So that was winter break of my senior year, and that's a 9 to 12 month recovery. So at that point, my season was done, and I know what it can take away from you as an injury, but that's the last thing I ever want is any kid to ever get hurt, whether it's one of our kids or an opponent. I know what it can do to you and how much it can take away from you. So, yeah, that's the biggest one that I've ever had, and unfortunately, it was my last.
Yeah, and have there ever been any students with similar injuries or worse, possibly?
I don't like those are the type of things I don't like. With athletics, it happens. But I've had kids that have dislocated hips. Dislocated.
How does that happen?
It was this was in football. It was a muddy game, and the guy went down for a tackle, and both his knees hit the ground, and the mud just gave way and he basically just popped the hip out and
Oh.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Had that. I've had, you know, kids break bones and dislocate elbows and, you know, get severe concussions that, you know, they're unable to participate anymore. So unfortunately, I've been around it. I've seen a lot of it, and you just try to help kids get back, if they're able to return, get back on the mat or the field as best you can.
Well, thank you for watching The Late Hour. I'm your host, Vejas Cuplinskas, and I want to thank all of my guests for joining me today, and have a good night.